Boy, am I a happy guy today. And why is it when we're happy we have to tell the world? Why am I happy? Because I'm testing batteries. And not only am I testing them, I got a pretty good setup. Over the years, I've done a lot of different ways of testing batteries because we want to know before we put these in a car that they're all going to work pretty good, because otherwise we get them in the car and then we got to take the whole thing apart to get some battery out, which is not easy. So I've got batteries already in them. Can you imagine having to take one of those batteries out? No, these are our new boxes. So I got them all hooked up here. I charged them all up so that they were the same voltage or pretty close. And I wrote down all these voltages, which you can see. Everybody was 20, well, those were 28, a little higher, 20, but everybody was very close, and now I'm draining them down. And this is the problem with I'm draining them all down in series. They're all wired up in series. And I got my little meter on here so I can see. And we see that we're pulling 19.5 amps out. And so far I've pulled 32 amp hours out. And what have I done with that? Well, it goes down this wire, goes over here, goes over to my inverter, my solar inverter, which I wrote about this guy in another video. I'm really happy with him. He'll run on anything from, I think, 120 to 500 volts. So what I have is, this is where my solar power comes in. And see, I got the fuses pulled on him, and I've got a little Anderson here so that I can power him up from whatever I plug that Anderson into. And I have the Anderson plugged in over there. So right now the shop lights, the shop and my Tesla are all being charged by this guy. And this guy is pumping out, we see 4.3 kilowatts. So we're pumping the electricity out of him and into these cars. Of course, we're not doing anything with the solar right now, but that's the way it is. So what are we seeing? Well, after pumping 29 amp hours out, I went and took the readings again. And what we see is we have a voltage drop between where they were sitting at rest and where they are sitting now after taking that many amp hours out. Now, so I subtract one from the other, and I got 1.10 volts difference. And you see each one that was a little more, 120, 122, 122, but everybody at 125, 129, 129, 114, but they're all somewhat close. Of course, this is just the beginning of the test. We've taken 29 amp hours out. I'm going to keep running that thing till we start to get down a little lower. Now, the other thing that we don't have hooked up, which should be very alarming to anybody doing batteries, is we don't have a way of looking at the individual cells, which, yeah, this is the thing with all this testing. I'm not going to take them down real far, but, and I got the BMS wires, so my next thing is to go ahead and hook up the BMS.